Today we're going to look on database relationships. So let's take a small example here. Imagine you have all these three tables. You have, can you all see? Those are behind. Imagine you have all these four tables. You have a student's table that keeps track and records the student's details. You have a classes table that will be used to track all the classes that are maybe available at SheCanCODE. You also have dormitories and also the courses with name, description, and maximum marks. So, and you want that you'll be able to store the students with the class in which they are enrolled in, their dormitories, and also the courses that they are taking, right? So if we had no relationships, the approach that we would have used in here, it's to take all of these tables and then merge them into one table. Like having one table maybe called students, and then putting in everything that was in these four tables, like putting in the student details, the dormitory details, and the courses and the marks. As you can see, this is not a good approach because we are mixing things that are not even although they are related, but it 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 makes our table to be cluttered and have information that we would separate into different tables and then create relationships that merges only one table with the rest of the tables. Right, so in here, we will be introducing relationships, as your colleague said, creating relationships in databases. We use what we call foreign keys. Foreign keys like, okay, for example, okay, let's say we have, let me add in another table so that I can start. One of the examples that I've had, your colleagues were saying, is a relationship between one of the relationships that your colleagues were mentioning was a one-to-one relationship between maybe a student or a user and his or her profile. So as you all know, a user can only have one profile, and that one profile can only belong one student. So here what we will do, it is to make sure that a single student only has a single profile and not two. So the thing here we can do is we can put a foreign key in this profile table that references this student's table and say, for each profile, we will need to have a single profile for each student. We'll do it like this. We would say user ID, and then this would be a foreign key. We'll say here what we've done, although they are not connected, here what I've done is I'm saying a user can have only one profile. These diagrams are called ER diagrams. Have you heard of them before? So here what I'm saying is I'm saying a single student can only have one profile and not two. So, but for example, if we take a profile and then put its reference in the students table, it's like we're saying now a student can have multiple profiles. Are we together? So here the relationship that we have created is a one-to-one relationship. That's one of the relationships that your colleague said. But another case would be a relationship between a student and a class. A student can be enrolled into one class, but a class can have multiple students. So how can we call that relationship? It is a one-to-many. One-to-many relationship. A class can have multiple students, but only one student can have one class. So according to what I've said earlier, where do you think the foreign key would go? Because we need to make sure that a student can have multiple, a class can have multiple students, but the student can only be enrolled in one class. I think it will go in class. What about others? Where will the foreign key go so that we can create the one-to-many relationship between a student and a class? A foreign key. So those who are behind, where do you think it will go? Where do you think it will go? The foreign key of maybe a student or a class. Okay, on my own, I think it will go in students. Okay, starting from why do you think it will go in class? Why did you say it will go in the class? Okay, for me, the reason why I said it will go here, when we put it in here, we are saying that this class, this one class will be containing that student only that we have put inside here. it means we will be having a student ID now that will be associated. I mean, this, if we put it inside here, student ID, we are saying that this whole class will be containing only this student. It will be the same as this one of the profile. But if we put it in here, when you're creating a student, we will, I mean, the class ID, when inserting a new student, we will be providing an ID of this class that references that class that he or she is enrolled in, instead of putting it in here. Because if you put in here, we are saying this class will only be tied to that student only. In fact, we are creating a one-to-one relationship instead of one to many. Okay, this is how we will do it. So if we are creating a many to one relationship between a student and a class, you would say we have a student, a class ID in here, and then this class ID will be referencing a class. To mean each student in here will only have one class ID. But a class will be able to have multiple students, since when creating a student, will be able to like specifying the ID for each. Okay, I'll explain it when we start writing the queries. Now we have, let me use this one to many. And again in here, we also have student and dormitories. In fact, it's the same case as the classes. We're saying a class for many students. A single class can have multiple students. One class to many students. Or you can say many students to one class. Okay, again. Okay, maybe let's first create the entities for this, for you to see it. We're going to first create the student the student's table with personal and you have an ID. Okay, for you who were asking me how you will be saving those SQL files, as you have seen, I've written in the creation SQL. You click on this and then specify where you want to keep it. Tables.sql. So when I try to go and test it out, as you can see, I have the other SQL query that I wrote. So you'll be submitting this.
Then in the command, then we delete.
You can delete.
You can delete them, right? So this way we delete
You'll have to save again.
like, for example, could you notice selecting when the person like a row or a column? We also have to save it and then write a document. Yeah, yeah, I do submission.
Okay, let me show you. So in the assignment, I said you will be submitting the create tables SQL. So you will come in here and then create all the tables as I did like this, and then save the SQL file like this, right? And then after this, after creating, so after creating them, maybe you also submit the insert data. So insert into blah, 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 and then you say it, and then you also have is it will be changing the other one that you saved. So the thing that I can do for me, I would after maybe finishing, I will put in insert into specify the table, the values, and then come here. Not here. If you click on save on the other query tool, it will override this. Instead, you will be using save as and then insert queries. So when I run this code, as you can see, I have it in here. But this was modified earlier. You can do it. That would also work. So the profile will be having, it will be also having the ID. Then the students will also have the bio. Let's make it X. Also a profile. Your so when we come in this, so this is how we're going to be creating the relationships. So we'll be creating the foreign key for the for the user to have a single profile, be creating the foreign key inside the profiles table. So this is what we will say. We will come in here and say, since our we'll be putting the foreign key inside the profile as we said earlier, and then it will be student ID. It will be an integer because although this is a serial, it is an integer, but it is controlled by PostGRESQL. And then it should be unique so that a user will only have a single profile. And then it will, okay, to create the relationships, we use this references keyword. It is referencing the students table, and then we use its ID. Okay. This line itself will create the foreign key for us because in simple words, the foreign key is a key that references the primary key of another table. Here what we did is we are creating a student ID that will be, okay, here we are implementing that a profile will be having, I mean, a student will be having only one profile. So, and the thing that we can add here, we can add the actions. What this line means is, what you're meaning is, we said on delete cascade. What you're meaning with this is, when we delete that user, will also its profile will also be deleted. But if we remove this, when we delete the user, that user's profile will remain in our database, although we don't have that user. And that's not good. So here what we said is, when we delete this user, his or her profile also will be deleted. And again, we also have the relationship between the students and the classes. Since we will be putting the profile, I mean the course foreign key in the students table, it's better to first create the courses table and then putting it inside here. So we'll have oh, these are courses. No, we are first going to create the classes. Okay, so a single student will only be assigned to one class. So we will say class ID will be an integer that references our classes table and then take the ID. And also when we delete that class, I mean, we also delete the students. Sorry? Hmm, not getting the question. Hmm, okay. What we have written here, it's like we are creating our foreign key will be called like this, class ID, because it is referencing a primary key in another table. To mean this is a foreign key. This is a foreign key itself. A class ID is a foreign key that is referencing the ID of this class. So are you getting it? Okay, to mean writing this, we are creating a foreign key. Hmm.
If somebody was asking like,
Okay, although there is a method of creating a foreign key, right? But it will be requiring us to create its indexes, things like that. But this one is, it will be creating our foreign key immediately. Okay, take references as a way of creating a foreign key. It is a keyword of creating a foreign key. You want me here to write the ID. Okay, if you write the ID, there'll be a correlation between this and this. That's why I use the class ID. It's even more clear. We are saying we'll be keeping a class ID in here that is resembling an ID in another thing. To know that the class ID is coming from the ID from the classes table. Okay. So let's maybe add some data. We'll insert into classes. Okay. Let me okay. Let me use a better tool that will help us to see the tables more clearly. So I copied the other tables that we created to here. Okay, this tool is called Data Group. It is like IntelliJ, but it is specifically designed to work with databases. You can also download it and then use the other usernames that the other email that you had that they gave you that is connected to JetBrains account. So you can also download this if you wish because it makes working with databases easy. I think this is enough. So maybe let's insert some data inside into that with classes. And then because we have a serial, this one is controlled by our database, and it will be so to me we will be providing the class name only. The class name. This created that I gave it a timestamp that has the current timestamp. To mean it will be getting the time at which that entry was created. So, and values. Let's put in into backend class. Ah, now we have added the classes. Let's also add in the courses. Okay, to make it quick, let me give this table to AI for it to give me data quickly. Ah, and then we're going to to create the students, let me also generate the okay. Here we'll be providing the class ID that is valid in these tables called classes. So maybe I'll insert the students after creating this. So let us run these commands. So as you can see, the queries have successfully been executed. Now, when we try to look at the tables we have these four tables. We have a classes table with ID, class name, and created that. We have a courses table, profile, and students. In fact, they are these tables that we had here. But unlike the class name and the courses, we have pre-filled data in classes and in courses. As you can see, we have the data that we'll be using. So if you wish, you can download this tool because it is very easy to use. Okay. Okay. As you can see, we now have a sorry. We now have a table of classes, and now we're going to create students, but providing the ID to that references to the classes table. So insert into students. So we'll be putting in the first name, the last name, email, and the class ID. Values. I'm also ask AI to give me the data so that you can do it. So we have added 5 students with the IDs that are valid inside of this classes table. So we're going to run this command only. So we have it have inserted the students. So these are the students with the class ID. As you can see, for example, this class has 2 students, the one with 1. So now we're going to also create the profiles for these students. We have said that a student can have a single profile. So I mean, we're going to also create to add in the data for these students, creating their profiles. We'll be adding the student ID. So they insert into profiles, profiles. Profile. We'll be inserting the bio, profile URL, and the student ID. So I've asked AI to also create me the profiles. It's only inserting, providing the bio, the URL, and then also the ID, the student ID. We have in how many students? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay, it also provided for 5 students. So let's also run this command. Okay, we now have the profiles.
How is it?
I'm using data grid. Data grid. It is like IntelliJ, but it was specifically created to work with databases. No, cannot. So the good thing about this is that you can add any database that you want. As you can see, it supports many databases, Postgres, all of this. But for us, we'll be studying only this one and this one. But if you know Postgres, you can go with this one. Sorry. And this one, we will also use this in Spring Boot shortly. You can also use this, so because it is the same concept. But this one we'll look at it after we finish relation databases. So maybe let me create another. Yes. Maybe let's say we want to get select all from. So I'm using this tool. For you who are not able to find it, it is this tool. So we now have data in our database, but with relationships. So maybe let me try to add the same user with the same, create another profile for this same user with that same ID and see what happens. As you can see, we have an error. To mean a single user will not be able to have more than one profile. A user will be having one profile at a time. So yesterday the assignment was to create these three tables. Okay, maybe to practice that we have really understood the foreign keys, try to create these two tables, but here use the foreign key, not just an integer. Maybe before we shift to other complex relationships, using your pgadmin, do these two tables and insert like five entries in them, and I'll come and check. So here, don't use an integer, just use a foreign key. In fact, modify this and then use a foreign key. Foreign key is a key that references to the primary key in another table. But the primary key itself, it is a unique identifier of a row, an entry. So try to do this, and I'll come and check if if you're able to do it. So after this, we're going to look another relationship called many-to-many relationship. Mhm. Yes, we have done it. It's what we were creating in here. It's a foreign key, yes. In another thing, yes. So then try to do this and I'll come check. Ma per esempio, questo qua poi lasciamo che votiamo quella storia. Iniziamo il relationship partner. Yeah, all does. Okay, so this is the assignment. The assignment, I don't want you to go to the Bisogna fare un'attività solita, ma yeah, thank you. Okay. For those that have checked for, they have done it, checked, you don't manage to finish it. You have not finished it.
Yeah.
Ok, urumva ibyo bidatubwiye imbere ko bizatuma amata atembaga at the same time.
I don't know how
muri Spring Boot complex queries nizo nyine uzajya mwandika ariko izoroshye zose bayazibahaye ukoresha methods this ni ukugira ngo mumenye nyine bikora bite n'amatables will not be creating them using these queries will be using classes uzakora class uhita ukora table utibikora izajya zibikora Guys, let's continue. So when we run for example, when we run the select query on our students table, as you can see, we are having no. Let me go. Let me start with that. This is what we get when we run the select query. As you can see, here we have the profile, but we cannot, for now, we are not being able to like. So for now, we are not being able to like get the details from both tables. Instead, they are giving us only one table at a time and then also giving us another one. So imagine we want to get all users with their profiles. So maybe I'll use that. SQL has things that are called joins. These are the commonly used joins. We have join with the Venn diagram. Take these as a user's table. This is the profile. it gets the values that are in those tables. Like we need to get the users with their profiles, we would need to check the user ID in this part and then the user ID foreign key in this. If this user ID in this table equals to the user ID in the profile table, then that user will be in the section. But to me, to get all the users with their profiles, you would need to use these these images. But we can also, but this one will only return those users who have the profiles. If the user does not exist in the profile, then it will not be displayed. But this one left join, we will be able to get all the users, either they have their profiles or not. The name for the profile I've seen we have in bio, this profile images one will be none if the users does not have the profile. This full journey it is minimal. Like imagine what table like the whole attributes. This one is new, so this we can go to the profile, but now getting all the profile data, but then it's up to use the elements in the user. If you claim the space leaving, these are the mainly used things that we have. So, for example, you might need to get the users with their all profile information. So we would say select. I'll put what we need to select after. So yeah, from we'll get them from the students table, and then because we are joining two tables, take one as one cycle and place the other one as another cycle. Then we will create inner join. So build it. Inner join. Then we will need to access the profile, right? Okay, now we are going to say there is something called aliases. Alias, like a replacing value. When that replacement, it's like a replacement that we would use to represent that table. We can say that I want this table to access it using a value s. So if we say s dot, I mean s is representing the students table. To mean when you say s dot first name, then we're going to get that student's first name. Same applies here. You can say I want to use P to represent our profile. And then we're going to say, because inner join, we want to get the elements that are in both tables. And in our profile and user table, we have in both tables we have the student ID, and in also the and also in our, as you can see in our profile, we have in an ID, I mean the student ID, and also in the students, you also have the ID. This student ID and this student ID in the profile, these are common in both tables. So to me, what we're going to say is, I want to get all the students, but for those who have with the on, maybe let's get the first name and the last name only on where the student.id is equal to the student ID in the profile. I mean here what I'm saying is I'm telling SQL to give me the first name, the last name of all the students who have created their profiles. To mean their profile IDs exists in this profile table. Because if the user does not have a profile, he or she will not be included in this result. So let's try to run. As you can see, I'm getting the first name and last name, but we can also get their profile information. We can say p dot maybe bio p dot fy URL. As you can see, we are now able to get all the data we want from both tables. Okay, now let's assume we want, let's add in the student, but that student will have no profile. Right, let's create another student. We duplicate this and change the names. Okay, in class 4. And to run all of it if I don't want it. Student. Values. Now I'm going to run only this command. Now when I go in my, as you can see, I'm added in, but I don't have a profile. To mean I should not be included in this query. As you can see, because I don't have a profile, it is checking if each student ID exists in the profile using its foreign key. Profile is it's a table. So now when we want to get like all the users, but again without leaving those who don't have the profile, we can use select. Okay, I'll also get the same things, but I'll change on this right side. Now what I'm going to do is ID. What I'll use is left join. Okay, now let's run it and see. As you can see, I'm also included, but I don't have by details. I mean, I'm also included in. Okay. Okay, the use of join is combining the attributes between in two immutables. Okay, let's suppose you Okay, when you start to work on your project, maybe you are working with an e-commerce. Most of it, although Spring Boot will do that for you, but let's focus on this. Let's say you have the user will have an order. In fact, without using those frameworks, you'd have the user but with order ID, without the details of the order. And then it will require you to refetch for that order. Now what Join does, you can include the details of that order in one SQL query. And then you will be able to get the user details and then the order details using one select statement on both tables at the same time. Can you get it? You are not.
After referencing the was it the
Huh?
before the keyword delete cascade
Okay. If I delete a user, his or her profile will also disappear. Can I tell you? Running this, as you can see, Alice has a profile, right? Now I'm going to delete her, and then we see if the profile still exists. We're going to use delete from students where ID. I'm going, okay, let me use the first name, where first name equals Alice. And let me repeat it. Now let's first see if she's still in the students table. You see, she's not in the students table, right? Now she should not even have the profile because she doesn't exist. So let's try to get all our users with their profiles. I want only to run the first one. So as you can see, she's not included. So that's the use of Cascade.
but you're going to start from one.
It will not.
It will start from two.
Let's imagine you have 100 products. If you delete them at the same time, the other product that you will add, it will not start from one. It will start from 101. Yes, I will push them. I will give them to. Okay, now let's try a full join. Okay, actually everything is the same. What you change is the type of join that you are using. Only change the type of join you are using. It's the matter of understanding what how Venn diagrams work. anything else is the same. So, okay, maybe before we end the session, do we have any problem? No, you only select what you want to get. Because you're joining multiple tables, I don't think that all will work. Let's see. Let's try it and see. Actually, all is working. Yes, you can use it. To me, it's going to get everything from both two tables at the same time. But respecting the condition is said here. So,
But forgetting all like table of profile, you can table of student.
in one
You
table.
you put some drill in it's like change the condition of like give me ID where they have the same ID.
If yeah, I'm saying is give me all the students with their profiles for those students who have the foreign key in the profiles table. I mean those students who have their profiles available. Okay, I think I'm not going to do it. Okay, so far we have covered. So far we have covered 1 to 1. So, so what we'll cover tomorrow, it's called many to many relationship. So what you, okay, let me tell you what tomorrow, let me tell you what maybe tomorrow you will have. We will start the session with, okay, it's like a pre-work. Just go and research on what we call pivot tables and join tables. Yeah, just research on these two concepts, join tables and pivot tables. And for tomorrow, those ones that didn't present, make sure you find something to tell us tomorrow, right? To those who were not able to present or to ask what they researched today, tomorrow they are the ones who are going to present for us, right? On these things, you'll be presenting on this relationship called many to many relationship. So will you need this?